Hey, this is Charles Dillon
and William Lee
with Anthem Mancave Talk, broadcasting live each week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from Fishbowl Studios. Log in to hear information, interviews, and inspiration for men.
So be sure to log in each week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch Anthem Mancave Talk. Jump in.
And welcome back to the next podcast with Anthem Strong Families Man Cave Talk. We're thrilled to be here. Thank you for joining us again today. We are ensuring that with the guests that we invite, we're ensuring that each time that you choose to spend time with us, that you're going to get something enlightening from each of our guests. So, Will, my co-host, if you will, announce who our guest is today.
All right, this is my favorite part of the podcast, for real, because I can go and do my little laboratory and hook up the introduction because I want to make sure that I do people right. Because, again, like you said, we have dynamic, inspiring individuals coming on here who are in the fight, boots on the ground, whatever you want to call it, however you want it, they in there. And so I just want to make sure that I do them just due.
You ready?
When I introduce them. I am ready.
All right.
I am ready. Are you
Hold
ready?
Hold on. There's a lot of pressure going on around here. We just starting.
Yeah, we just get started. Okay, here we go. All right, so here we go. So when resilience meets purpose and vision meets heart, you get Jermaine Gaspard, CEO, international speaker, TEDx voice, author, coach. His journey reads like a blueprint for greatness. From saving lives as a lifeguard, dominating the field as a college football MVP, leading youth to victory as a 5-time Junior Olympic National Championship coach, to pursuing justice as a criminal investigator and Texas Ranger Special Ops. You heard me? I said it's Special Ops. This ain't Call of Duty, all right? Team member. This is real life Special Ops, okay? But Jermaine's story doesn't stop at accolade. It rises. As the founder of Good Life Living Group, Good Life Living Group. I need you to get that. He's on a mission to develop elite leaders and unstoppable teams. With over 2 decades of battle-tested experience and award-winning service, Jermaine is a rare blend of relentless grit and transformative grace. He holds a degree in criminal justice, a master's in business administration, but more importantly, he carries the heart of a teacher and the unshakable spirit of a warrior. Get ready. Jermaine Gaspard doesn't just speak, he ignites.
Wow. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I think we can leave now.
And what he didn't share on that is he's a father.
100%.
We know.
Of how many?
4.
4 children. Man, Superman is real.
There you go.
Well, Jermaine, thank you for being here.
Brother, I appreciate y'all having me.
Yeah, we
Definitely
really
y'all having me.
appreciate you coming to join us on here. We are building something. And we recognize the importance of when you're building, you got to set a strong foundation. And you're part of setting that foundation with alongside of the other people that's been a part of this show. So thank you very much.
Receive that.
So let's just jump into this process.
Okay.
All right. They have some dynamic stuff. I know Will's got a lot of questions. I've got some. But we're really going to bounce off of the information that you shared with us, all right?
I'm good to go.
So how did you get started on the journey that led to all those accolades?
Wow, that's a great question. I want to say that it started with pain. And along the way, pain inspired and fueled purpose, right? My father was addicted to drugs. He was a single father for about 7 years. And there were some times where I was alone, right? And I say alone tentatively because I wasn't alone spiritually, right? During that time, I can vividly remember talking to God like I'm talking to you, right? And just being carried and held and protected because I was in some dangerous and bad places, but the punch always, went right beside me, and I could see it almost in slow motion, whatever that situation went, right? Everything from, from running away and someone picking me up and bringing me back home, that could have ended horribly, to being left at the Boys and Girls Club because he went on a binge, and going to state home and state housing, and having to protect myself there, to a lot of different things, right? So when all this chaos was going on, it built something in me that understood that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. No matter what happens, I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll deal with whatever's going on in the moment. And then when tomorrow comes, I'll deal with that.
Right.
And man, God helped me along the way.
Right. You know, I read something years ago, and it said, good people are built.
Yes.
They're not born.
Correct.
They're built by way of pain, frustration, disappointment, and all those things that we work hard to avoid. But they find their way through it.
Yes,
and
sir.
as a result of finding their way through it, they elevate themselves.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's what it sounds like you did.
Yeah, I think it's excellence, right? Excelling, which is the root word of excellence, right? Not perfection, not this perfect square or this perfect line, because we don't find those in nature anywhere, right? It's amazing that anywhere that you look, into the woods, into the ocean, to sand, to sea. Actually, I learned this while learning how to build a hide, right? So, if you're building a hide, you're either a veil or cover because you're doing surveillance, you're, in a tactical position, you don't want to be seen.
Right.
The easiest way to be found is to create a straight line, circle or square inside of your hide, because the naked eye sees it and it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't camouflage. It doesn't mesh with the natural environment.
Right.
So in a perfect world that God created, God refused to create straight lines and straight circles. Right? I'm a product of that. I'm not a straight line. I'm not a straight circle. I think every person that's listening to this is a product of not going from point A to point B directly, but having to hit these ebbs and these flows in order to manage getting to the destination, and excelling through the process, and being perfectly imperfect for a perfectly imperfect world.
And you know what? When that example in and of itself is what we're trying to help our fathers understand, because one of the misnomers that we can step into fatherhood with is I got to be what?
Right.
Got to be perfect.
Yeah,
I
man.
got to be right.
That's right.
That's
right.
the farthest thing from the truth.
Man, my life began to accelerate the most when I recognized that being perfect wasn't required.
Yeah.
I no longer was scared to make mistakes. That idea of being scared to make mistakes, it handcuffs you. It makes you play slow, right? It makes you not play to the speed of the game, right? There's this book that I read that has a couple of people in it. They like to go fishing. Sometimes they hang out in Mount Moriah. A guy named John in there, a guy named Mark, right? And inside this book, it says, "Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, because anything else is of the evil one." Right? It's about being fully committed.
Yeah.
Right? And the commitment is what allows us to be great in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this conversation, we're really going to focus on how fathers, regardless of where they are in their relationships, can grow and become closer to their kids, right? And sometimes, again, as we talk about that, we want things to be perfect, right? And you can never accomplish that, and that's too much pressure to try to live under.
Facts.
Right? And especially when your kids aren't looking for that from you. They just want you to be present, all right? So,
Start there.
yeah. And so when we think about, we met some time ago and you gave me your book, Warrior Mindset,
Yes, sir.
all right? There are principles in that book that I see that can correlate with fathers, and especially with some of the fathers that we work with, because a lot of them have distance from their children. Their relationships have been torn, and they are trying to rebuild and reconnect.
Yes.
Based on that, what are some things in that book that you can think of that would be a clue for them, a key for them, or a roadmap for them to accomplish their goal?
So the 4 principles of strength are balance, endurance, flexibility, and focus. Balance, endurance, flexibility, and focus. That applies to physical strength and non-physical strength, right? So I would start with defining those pillars and then applying them in real life scenarios, right? So what does balance mean? balance oftentimes is mistakenly thought of as 50-50, right? If I'm on a balance beam, if I put 50-50, then I'm kind of walking down. However, if there's a strong wind going from left to right, sometimes I have to lean into the wind because that input has to be a counterbalance to stay on balance, right? So there cannot be balance without there first being a goal. So that's the first thing. The first thing I had to learn as a father, because when my father left me, when my father was present, he was an amazing man. He gave me, he was a fighter, he was a warrior, so he gave me the baseline, the expectation of what manhood looked like. To regress, I'll give you a quick story. We would go grocery shopping, and the first thing we do is go get a gallon of milk. And he'd tell me, and I couldn't be any more than maybe 5 or 6 years old. He said, "Look here, boy, I don't drink milk. You drink milk. So you're going to tote this gallon of milk around, and we're going to go to the rest of our grocery shopping again," because it was just he and I. And he said, "Now, if you're too soft and you're too weak to handle your own milk, you can ask me nicely, and I'll let you put it on my cart." He said, "But it just means that you're a little boy, because men and young men can carry what they require." Right? So the first time, I'm dragging him in. I ain't no little boy. I'm a big boy, right? And, we probably was in that grocery store maybe an hour for a 10-minute job because he was allowing me to experience, one, failure, two, the desire to stand up. And then eventually, when we go grocery shopping, I beat him to a gallon of milk, and I'm tossing it from hand to hand. What we talking about, right? But that's the foundation of peace. That's the balance portion of it. And that's important for us to understand as men, that we are the anchors of the family, of our community, and this nation. And what that means is we often mistakenly think of as men as being the head of the household, thinking that they're the top. The truth of it is we're the bottom. We're the thing that the house sits on. Right? And that's super important because the most expensive, the most valuable portion of any building is the foundation. However, the foundation is seldom seen. Right? It's not adorned. Sometimes not even appreciated until it's broken. So the first thing I would say is find your balance. Understand that fatherhood is life, where motherhood is birth. Oftentimes we try to coincide birth and life in the same space. No. The reason why we call God Father, because God is life. That's who you are to replicate. The other portion of it is endurance. Okay, now that you identify what's important, now that you identify that I need to be the Father, I need to be the expression of God, I need to be the expression of word, I need to be expression of truth, I need to be expression of protection, I need to be able to provide, protect, cultivate, teach. I need to be able to do those things. Once I understand that, endurance is the ability to do it over and over and over again at a high standard. That's only done through reps. And that's done through failure. Right? When I went to the combine, I lifted 225, like 23 reps. I didn't start there. I built my way there to get to that rep load. So that endurance comes by, as you said, first showing up. Showing up, taking the licks, taking the knots, knowing that it's worth it. Oftentimes, we find ourselves in different situations, whether it be bonus mothers, whether it be we're not still in a relationship with the mother, or even in a relationship with the mother. And we have different forces fighting against us. Be consistent. Find a way. I went through divorce, and when I was going through that process and I was no longer at the same house every day, I had to find other ways to be consistent. I showed up at school continuously. I ate lunch with my son continuously, and my daughters continuously. Everyone at that school knew who they belonged to because they saw me continuously. I found ways to be consistent and showcase my endurance. The next thing is being flexible. The way I saw the world wasn't always the way that it was. But the end point was the end point.
Right.
And I had to be flexible and be willing to sacrifice things that I might have liked, wanted, or enjoyed to get to the point. The main thing had to stay the main thing, right? So sometimes I allowed people to think they were winning, but even in their, in their heinousness, the things that they were doing with ill will or ill intent, they
Right.
think they winning.
Right.
But ultimately, as long as I got my babies, I'm good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, just really like, hey, man, call me what you want, say what you want, handle me however, but as long as I have my baby, we're good. The moment I don't have my baby, it's going to be a different situation right here.
Some furniture moving around.
Right? And
Furniture moving.
and the last part is focus, right? So having those three things and be willing to focus that and having the ability to focus that at any given point, at any given time, right? And really being a savage about it. Like, it's okay to love something so much that the world knows that I'll hurt you over it.
Right.
And it's important for our children to know that.
Yeah.
Like, it's, whatever happens, happens. But when I get to my daddy, it's going to be a whole different conversation around it, right? And that's important that they recognize that they are that important to us.
Yeah.
And that's just a reflection of our God. Our God is so important to us that He will never let us alone.
Yeah.
He's going to allow us to be cut, molded, and shaped for His will and purpose. But ultimately, He's always crafting us in our hand.
Yeah.
And being that reflection was my motivation.
Yeah. That's some real solid stuff.
Yeah.
Right. All of that takes discipline.
Yes.
But when you hear your accolades, all of that took what?
Discipline.
Took discipline. It took getting up when you didn't want to get up.
Definitely.
It going places where you didn't want to go, right? Facing situations that you prefer not to face in order to obtain the goal that you have for yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's some real stuff.
Yes, sir.
And as fathers, sometime you can be, you're going to be shaken, right? Even with your kids. But you have to understand that they are kids. And if you can see them as that and work through that process, that's also part of demonstrating to them that nothing that anyone do, including you, can cause me to lose the love that I have for you.
Man, that's a mouthful there. And I've said it over and over again.
Yeah.
And what I tell them is, there's nothing you can do so bad to make me stop loving you. Right? And that's super important because other people that come into your life may not love your children the way that you love them. Right? And you might fall in love with people, places, and things that don't have the means and ability to have an unconditional love with the thing that you love. How do you stay grounded in that, right? And you bring up this discipline. Well, discipline to me is just being a disciple to something bigger than yourself, right? So when Jesus had His disciples, they were His disciples. Disciples is another way to be called student.
Right.
They were disciples to something bigger than themselves. Or what are you a student of that's so big that you're willing to go all in for? Right?
All in.
So those accolades, and it's I sit back and I hear that, and I know all of it to be true, but there was a time here recently, I want to say maybe about a year ago, where I was sitting down and those accolades come with awards. I'm sorry, I keep on buttoning. Awards and all those different things. Man, I was throwing them like frisbees because they didn't mean anything to me. Like in the moment of doing it, it was important, but sitting them on like trophies on the wall,
Right.
they didn't have any importance to me. And I was going through a phase of trying to figure out what is next. What's the next thing that I can pour myself into? Not looking at the end result, but the way that I'm wired, like I'm either all in or all out. You know what I mean? And I decided to go to theology school and go to SMU, and even that's a process, right? But the discipline, man, is really just being a disciple of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Will, you got any questions?
I was thinking, like, again, as I was looking at it, I remember you talked about the origin story, and I thought that was important. But then you said something else that hit me right as I was reading in the book, and it was like, where are you? And one of the things I use when I talk to people, I say, what's the most important thing about GPS when you're doing the thing? And everybody would say, where I'm going. I'm like, no, it's
Where you are.
And I thought that was really important. And like you said, when you're dealing with, you say you have 4, we're talking about building that bond, right? And being able to, put things together and being who I need to be for that. And one of the words you use, and like Charles will tell you, I love words, right? Because when you actually define a word, really define it just brings things into,
It tells you
makes
exactly
it
what it
richer.
is.
Yeah, it makes it richer, and it makes it more graphic. And you talked about endurance, right? So we have fathers out here. Like when I read your book, I read your accolades. All of this has taken time, and you talk about that endurance. But I wake up and I don't feel like it. I don't have that endurance. And how, as far as fathers that are out here with all the things that are coming against them, how is it that they can get that endurance to say, let me stay?
Yes, sir.
And let me stay. Because like you said, I'll tell people, when I grew up, I thought my family they nothing to me. And that's hard. I was like, I would do stuff like try and make them mad or try and make them glad. And I'm like, do something. Let me know something. This nothing is terrible. But like you said, letting my child know. How do you do that? You have 4, and we were before we got on the set. We were having a little bit of a conversation how the different kids are different in the approach and the ages and the exposures and everything else. How is it? Because you have folks out here who don't have maybe their children like that, and they have to go here, then they have to go there, and they have to go over there. How can I have that much endurance? Or what do you do to keep that endurance so that you can make sure, or something you could tell people, because you come through a lot?
Yeah. There's a difference between motivation and being driven. The issue is most of us desire to be motivated. And motivation is good, but motivation is like caffeine. It peaks,
Temporary.
it spikes, but it's temporary, right? Being driven is something that's consistent, right? It drives me to do X, Y, Z. You have to find something that drives you on a primal level, right? A lot of times people say, I do this for my kids, I do this for this, I do it for that, and that sounds beautiful, right? You see TV shows that are reality TV shows, and they talk about their wife, their kid, or somebody being sick, right? And some of those things can drive you, but on a primal level, what drives you, right? And I found in myself on a primal level, what drives me is I don't want to quit. What drives me is I want to be better than, I don't want to be the father that I had, right? So during this process, I was born in New York, like we talked about. My father was a complex individual. He was intelligent, he was athletic, he was strong, the women liked him, he had all that charisma going on. Worked on Wall Street by day, at nighttime, he did other things, right? And we had a good life. We're talking about in the 80s, we had a 4-story home in Inglewood, New Jersey, right? And that's money.
Sure.
Right? So money wasn't an issue, right? He was the boxing champ, I think the Brooklyn boxing champ. He won, like Golden Glove kind of deal, but for Brooklyn, right? He was a soldier in, some organizations where they would call him to enforce different rules and policies, right? So he had all this going on. So, and then in this process, when the money was good, he snorted and did other things, right? After 7 years, he remarried. He then had it with his new wife, Frida Rainey, which is my bonus mom, who saved my life. Because at that time, man, kindergarten, I got all U's. In first grade, I got all N's. U's was, I don't even remember what the U's were. Unsatisfactory, yeah. All unsatisfactory. The N's were all needs improved.
That other school.
Yeah, and it wasn't because I wasn't smart or anything. I wasn't, that wasn't my focus, right? She came into my life, all that stuff changed. That shows you the power of a woman. That shows you the power of an amazing mother, right? We leave New York, New Jersey, come to Georgia. Back then, it was hot Atlanta. It was Chocolate City. And again, you know, we bought a home in Stone Mountain, Georgia. At that time, it was all white. They they still had the Confederate generals carved on the side of the mountain, and the Ku Klux Klan were having their meetings there. Right? When he bought the house, they said, "Oh, do you really want to live here?" And you know, he's from East Coast New York. Yeah, my money can buy it. Right? It's what it. So going through all those experiences, when his money wasn't the same, snorting turned into other forms of drug usage. He deteriorated his marriage. He deteriorated his money. Deteriorated his relationship. The long and short of it, Frida had to leave. She didn't want to leave. It was he and I, and he abandoned me for like 4 to 5 days. I didn't eat until about the third or fourth day, and I ate a half-cooked turkey because I didn't know how to cook. When his girlfriends come by, and I asked his girlfriend, "Can you call my mom?" And that was just the Holy Spirit, because prior to that, I didn't have that thought before. I don't know how. She found my mother. That's back with, you know, the yellow book, the yellow pages,
right?
You know, you can look people's name up, right? They don't do that anymore. Y'all don't know nothing about that. I understand. But she found my mother. My mother had remarried. My 2 little brothers were here with her. And she told my mother told her, if you can just get him to the airport, you have a ticket waiting for him. That's how I ended up in Texas, right? So, and I remember vividly, when I first got here that night, they gave me my room, I went to bed, and I was crying, and I made up my mind then I would never be that guy. I would be an amazing father, right? And this is like in the 6th grade. I didn't have the bandwidth or the intelligence or the wisdom to say I would be an amazing husband as well. But I knew that I would never be that guy, right? So, primally, never being that guy, never being the person that couldn't protect himself, never being that person that would be outmaneuvered, outwitted, I would never be hungry again. That's my primal nature, right? And then knowing that, I can tap into that. And then knowing that allowed me to find my purpose, and being able to mentor, to minister, to turn potential to high. All that was a product of knowing that the thing that hurt me made me decide that never again, no more.
You know, it's part of our curriculum that when we're working with men, one of the ideals in it is pain has been my greatest teacher.
That's right.
And that's what I hear you say.
Yep.
I think about also like the origin story again, right? Because we have a thing we do with the fathers, right? And you know, other folks that are participants, and it's you have to write your legend or your autobiography, and it's really funny because most people are reluctant to do that. And then what happens is you go back far enough, right? And there's the ugly in there, but there's also something that you may have forgotten. Like what you said, like you even laughed about it. The milk.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a good time because you were in this situation, but the milk thing.
Yeah, man.
And to be able to like and have, I think, you know, what I like about what you said is like that thing, right? I got to find that thing that I keep with me, because I always talk about when I sometimes have conversations and people will talk bad about you and people will come at you. They always have their information ready. You ain't. But do we ever have our information that lifts us up? Like when we go out to the other place at JCTC, right? They remind them of what they've done every day. They wear a uniform, they get in line. Everything that they do is a reminder of what they did. And my question to them is also like, but what are you doing to remind yourself of who you are? And like you said, I appreciate that. Like I said, even for our listeners and fathers, right? To have that thing that drives you. And like I said, when I look at where you were to where you come from, I mean, example, y'all see, most people want to see something. So the example is right here that, you know what, my origin story, superhero, you know, going above and beyond, driven, he has it with him. That thing is with you all the time.
No doubt. And I think it's important to understand that a superhero and a supervillain, they're not opposites, they're cousins.
Right.
Right? One operates on love, the other operates on hate and fear and hurt. So the question is not if the world is going to hurt you, what you're going to do with that hurt. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. So what are you going to do with it? How are you going to manage it? You know
Say
what I mean?
that again for them, because because a lot of times, right, we get that wrong, right? Say that again.
Yeah, man, the world is going to hurt you no matter what you go through, how you go through this life. It's not sterile, it's not serene. The world will hurt you. The question is, what are you going to do with the pain?
You started off with talking about nature. That's part of nature.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's part of nature. Now, but all the things you've done, you were an athlete, you're an entrepreneur, you are international speaker. With all of those things, when you think about what it takes to do that, what have you learned through that that's helped you be the father that you want to be versus what you had seen previously?
Man, my wife hates this, but I take the approach of I'm going to jump off the building and build my wings on the way down, right? And it takes an enormous amount of faith to do that, and I've done it so long now that it doesn't even feel like faith. It's just a response to it.
Process.
It's a process to it, right? But taking others with you is hard because what they do is they look over the edge like, what you about to do? It's crazy, right? Right? And I just jump, right? It's a 3-step process that I've learned, that I've been doing for a while now, but I've just recently learned how to articulate. And that is, when making a decision or faced with an opportunity, choose the thing that excites you the most, no matter what that is, right? Do that thing with all of your ability. Do that with integrity. Right? So pick the thing that excites you the most. Do it with everything in your being. Do it with integrity. The last part is what makes it difficult. Do it without trying to control the outcome. The reason the last part is important is because whatever you think, whatever you desire, you can't outbless God. If you the excitement is the natural passion and the conviction. If you're passionate about something, the conviction is going to come. We're talking about endurance. We're talking about motivation. We're talking about being driven. If I pick something that excites me, no one else has to tell me what to do. I'm wound up already because it naturally excites me.
Right.
So I already have my passion. I already have my conviction. I'm dialed in. And then when I do it with everything that's in me, with all my means, with all my ability, oftentimes we don't do that because we don't want to look crazy. But everyone we watch on TV did that and it was called crazy. There's no one that is great. There's no man or woman that has achieved great things that people didn't call crazy at some point in time. The reason being is because they operated on vision where everybody else operated on sight. Sight is what you can see with your eyes. Vision is what you can see in your head. So when you start operating in this vision space and you do it with reckless abandon, all out, full tilt, and don't try to control the end, God shows up every time.
You know, I heard you say that. You crazy. And it brought back a story for me personally when I changed my career because I was traveling all the time. And my son, one Sunday morning, I'm packing to be gone for the week. He said, "You always gone," and he named the company I work for. So, and I could see in his face he was disgusted with that. He was about 11 years old. So that started to wear on me. And it wore on me for a time. And finally I had to come to a decision. And when I left my career, my partners, I told them what I was getting ready to do. They said, "Man, you crazy."
That's right. That's right.
"Man, you crazy."
Crazy is required.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy is required because it can't make sense. Like what you're about to do makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me.
It
But
makes
I can
sense
see
to me.
something you can't see because you're not looking at what I'm looking at.
Correct.
Right.
Because you're looking on vision.
Yeah.
You're looking at sight. Right. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be this. Well, 1 + 1 = 2 when you're dealing with sight. 1 + 1 = infinity when you're dealing with vision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's definitely. definitely. And he made me laugh, right, when he said, just jump in and build it as you go down. That's what y'all says when we doing work at Anthem. He was like, well, look, y'all, we just building this thing and we just going to put it together as we go along. So let's go. Everybody get it. He said, he said, we building a plane.
That's right.
And as we go along, we going to build it. You see folk like,
Yeah, man.
what you mean?
So the example I would use that when I'm doing my lectures and my teaching, what I say is, all right, say you're in Dallas, Texas, and you go into Shreveport, right? That's a 2-hour drive. You don't know what's on the highway until you start to riding on the highway.
Right.
Like once you leave downtown, you hit Mesquite, you can see what's going on in Forney. You know, you have Waze, you got GPS, you know, they give you an understanding because you got a little red line or green line, but you don't know what you know until you can put your hands on it.
Right.
So many people believe in things, but they don't know things. You can't believe what you know, and you can't know what you believe. It's two different things. Even when talking about God, I believe in God, but do you know God? You can believe in something, but do you know it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even with this fatherhood thing, okay, I believe in fatherhood, but do you know fatherhood?
Yeah.
Right? And knowing is an out-of-body experience that can't nobody tell you no different. Like, there's some things that I heard growing up from, you know, if you're from Dallas, from a T. Jones, from a T. Lady, you know, or from a grandmother or, you know, grandfather, that you would hear repetitively, right? And, you know, I'm trying to think of one. God ain't gonna be there all the time when you call him, but he's gonna be there when you need him. Okay. I know that's true, right? Because some of these things you got to live through,
Right.
And for the men that are listening to this, I would say, man, be a disciple to being, first of all, a good man. Secondly, a good father, because you can't be a good man and have children and not be a good father.
Right. If you're gonna be a man.
If you're gonna be a man, well, you know, being a male and being a man is two
Two
different
different
things.
things.
Yeah.
Right.
Being a male is just a product of chromosomes, it's
Yeah.
a product of science. Right? You got the X and the Y, and you good.
Yeah.
You got the X and the X, you good. All right, so that's a matter of science.
Right.
But being a man takes time, dedication, sacrifice, endurance. You know, what I mean, it takes all those different things, and it's a conscious decision. Right? True power is strength under control. That's
Yeah.
true power.
That's power. Yeah. I was talking to a guy, and that's the same definition of being meek.
Correct.
Great strength under control.
Yes.
So don't misinterpret it.
So we have an obstacle course in Burleson on every Saturday from 9 to 10. Whatever young man, whatever father wants to come out there, it's open. It's $3 and free cents. In August, I'm gonna do a 4-hour father-son experience where some of the things that I did in special operations, the buddy of mine, Reggie Harris, that does with me, that's retired sergeant major.
Right.
We're gonna have these father and son teams doing these attributes together, right? The goal is to bond. I say that because when we're training these young men, we're training them to be physically strong. We're training them to learn. We teach them how to fight, right? And the idea is we want them to be extremely dangerous, right? But dangerous with total control of their faculties, right? We want the enemy to be scared to come over here, right? And I don't believe a harmless man can be a good man, right? If you're nice because you don't have a choice, then that's the only thing that you have.
That's
And
weakness.
That's weakness. And they can take from you, and they will take from you. The world will take from you. A man has the ability to defend himself, his family, and the things that he loves and cares about, and will, in a moment's notice. That requires respect. And as men, we operate in respect, not in love, right? Even with our significant others. They don't have no problem loving us, but maybe they have a problem respecting us. And as a man, I can't feel love without respect. Right?
That's the other side of the coin.
That's right.
That's the other side of the coin. So, in all of the things that you've done, what's the most if you talk to your kids, right? What do your kids might say about their father that says, I can tell he was great at this because of how he engages with this with me?
I think it's how I communicate with them.
Okay.
One of the reasons for the obstacle course is because I don't talk to my kids about what I do and what I've done. They get that from other places. But for sons especially, they always want to meet and be approved and show themselves approved to their son, to their fathers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It's a natural thing, right? We want to show ourselves approved to our Father, right? Our Heavenly Father and our earthly Father. So by going to the obstacle course and him seeing me fail, be tired, exhausted, it gave him the runway for him to express himself fully. See, because manhood and patriarchy or patriarchal are two different things, right? So when you're dealing with a patriarchal mindset, you're talking about masochism, you're talking about dominance, you're thinking about tearing things down. When you're talking about manhood, you're talking about nurturing, guidance, building, right? And being generative, I would use, right? So the world is teaching him that being a man is having a patriarchal stance. I'm teaching him that being a man is generative and is nurturing and is building, right? And that's the reflection of God. So being in this space allowed him to see that. For my daughters, my approach to them is to treat them as the husband that they will have in the future. My relationship with my daughters is unconditional love without sex, right? And where else do they find that, right? An unconditional love, their uncles and grandfather and all this. But that unconditional love without sex, where do they find that? And being able to recognize that is super important.
Right.
While also them understanding what discipline looks like, right? Spare the rod, spoil the child. Most times people think the rod is hitting somebody. That rod is the rod of discipline, right? So discipline doesn't require you to physically hit.
Guide.
Right, 100%. The rod it guides you. You lay the rod down so that you know what the pathway is to going straight.
Right.
So I use a lot of positive reinforcement, okay? Especially with my boys. All right, we're gonna knock out these 100 push-ups. Every time you make a mistake, I need another 100. All right, positive reinforcement. I'm getting you physically strong, mentally strong, and I'm making my point. Right. With the girls, not so much in that arena, but it is discipline in the guide of, well, if you want this, this has to happen. If you're unable to hear me when I'm speaking to you like this, then this can't happen, right? So that when they do and they become attracted to a man, they become attracted to what they've seen.
It's amazing how this conversation with you is bringing back memories in my head. I was part of an association of men in Plano. We had a coaches association, and as part of that, we were trying to help boys grow to be men. So we took them out of Plano. We take them camping and whatnot. And I remember we were in a canoe in South Texas, and I can't swim. Right, and the canoe turned over, and I went in the river, and I had on boots.
Did you scream?
I didn't scream, but I was holding on to the canoe, right? But they saw it because a storm came up while we were on that river, and so that's what caused it. When we got back to the cabin that night, it was real quiet, and I was wet, and they looked at me and they said, "Coach Dillon, yeah, were you scared?" I said, "Absolutely," and they all hollered, "Me too, me too." And that created an opportunity for dialogue to talk about facing your fears and preparing for those things, the uncertainties that come with life. But that was a moment that we had never had that conversation before.
You know, that goes back to that patriarchal, false machismo manhood, right? Compared to real manhood. The inability to say that I'm scared. The falseness of trying to hold on to, I ain't never scared, I'm tough. I don't have to. That turns into bullyism. That turns into suicide. It turns into anger. Because I know for a long time I was an angry young man. And we have all these young men that walk around with this anger. And who can they express it to? Is if I talk to you about it and I say I'm hurt, and you say you deserve to be hurt, or whatever the case may be, and there's not a space for
Get over it.
Yes,
Get over it.
all those different things, right? I'm scared of something. Get over it. I'm gonna put you in a position that you're gonna have to get over it. Like all those different things create that patriarchal man that then turns around and abuses women and himself, rather than being. It's okay to be scared.
Right.
Matter of fact, you cannot be courageous unless you are scared. Because if you do something of that is great and you're not scared in the process,
Right.
it's not a courageous act.
Right.
You just did it out of sheer numbness.
Right.
Right? And how many of these boys walk around numb and then do things that are egregious because their pain points are so numb?
Yeah.
Right? Oftentimes, a lot of people think that our boys need more discipline when in fact they just need more love. Right? And the love comes with the discipline. But any discipline that's absent of love is a form of abuse. So I remember talking to someone, and we were talking about discipline. They were making a difference between discipline and love. You just want to love on them. You don't want to discipline them. Well, if the love is not in the discipline, then that's an abusive situation.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can do the same action in love, discipline absent of love, and they feel totally different because the intention and the energy behind it is different. Right? The love can never go anywhere. It has to be attached to that.
Now, and as part of what you do, you're coaching also. I understand you coach track and all of that. How do you communicate this whole idea to take that patriarchal role in those kids' lives? How does that work for you? How do you implement that?
You know, not me because you know not my father. Right? We have to demonstrate it. So integrity is defined as thinking, knowing, and speaking the same thing. So we have to walk in integrity. I have to believe in what I'm saying so much that I do it. So that, because children are not going to repeat what they hear, they're going to repeat what they see and what you do, right? Because the world is telling them, you know, man, if I see another twerk it video, golly, you know what I mean? Twerk it, bust it open, shoot it, right? So the world has already given them all of that.
Right.
You're telling me something different. Can you prove to me what you're doing is prosperous? Because the world says this is prosperous.
Yeah.
Now, what's important, what I think adds value to that is understanding the definition of prosper and success, right? So in the Western world, prosperous is a financial term. Biblically, in Hebrew, prosperous is a military term, right? So to be prosperous is to see incremental success, is to understand, is to break through, right? While success also means first to understand. So if you're breaking through new environments, if you're understanding and learning, if you're seeing small growth, you're being prosperous. That's how you get to the money.
Right.
And so the way that I teach manhood versus being this patriarchal vantage point is by being a man in real time, in real space, and being able to sit and talk and sometimes cry with you. And understand that none of this takes anything away from my manhood. I'm still just as dangerous. I'm still just, you know what I mean? All those different things.
Right.
I think you have to be it first. You can't, you know what you should do? I read this book, what it said, man, be the thing that you want to teach.
Yeah.
That's the way.
In your book, there's a chapter that says becoming. I can't remember the title of it. What? No, I think the question was, what are you becoming? What's the essence of that?
God told Adam to become. Become is not something in the future. Become is something that's in the present that manifests in the future. Meaning, if I give you an apple seed, the apple is in the seed. It's already apple. It just hasn't become yet because it hasn't found the environment conducive for that apple's seed to turn into a tree. So the question is, what are you becoming? We are all a product of what we do routinely. Whatever you do routinely is what you are becoming. So success and failure are both measurable. If you drinking alcohol at 12 and 13, by 40, your liver gonna crap out. It's a process, right? If you're reading books at 12 and 14 to 40, you're gonna have a body of knowledge and you're gonna have something to say, right? Become, what are you becoming? What are the things that you do on a routine basis every day? What are you addicted to? Because we're all addicted to something, right? So, man, I drink me a beer every day at 5 o'clock. Okay, but that's what you're becoming, a beer drinker, right? And again, not saying nothing wrong with it, because I like a cold beer now and then too.
Right.
But the question is, what are you galvanizing your time? What are you pouring yourself into? That is what you are becoming.
All right. So what do you and your kids do that's fun, but they're constantly learning something, but maybe they don't even know it?
Well, so I believe in living life on purpose. There's nothing that I do that I don't enjoy. There might be aspects of things that I do that are not my favorite, but ultimately God has given me a life where I don't do much that I don't enjoy. So with the kids, everything that they're doing, I see the lesson in it, right? So I'm going for the lesson. I have a daughter that plays volleyball, right? So you playing volleyball now? That's what we're doing? Cool, we playing volleyball. Cool, all right. What have you done in the last 5 days to make yourself successful? Because you said you wanted to do this. Well, I went to practice. That's it? So practice to make you successful? And then
I knew that was coming.
All right, here we go. All right.
Can't we just talk?
Yeah. So, I mean, what we doing? So now, and what I also learned, that's a great point, of can we just talk means that they've already formulated in their mind, when I deal with him, I have to be in a certain posture because this is what's coming. That's respect. And that's the only way that we feel loved anyway. I have a son that's playing football now. I didn't want to push football on him, so I let him, have his ebb and flow. He's grown into his body. He's enjoying it. And my question is, are you satisfied with your output? What are we doing? Because I'm going to be here, right? All of them have something great inside of them.
Right.
And when I see their greatness, I ask them, what do they want to do with the greatness? And when they decide I want to do this with the greatness, I'm here for it. 100%. I'm going to pour into it. But now, when we pouring into it and we spending our money, ain't no refund, homeboy. We doing this all the way.
Ain't no quitting.
Ain't no quitting. You know what I mean? We can get to a point where you age out of it or you don't like it. But when we start, we finish.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I had our son the other day, he was at football practice and he's going into high school. And this is his first year at a high school playing high school football. And they're doing 4-hour workouts. And he says,
I was thinking.
I ain't gonna quit Because, we don't quit. I ain't going to quit, but do I got to play football next year? Right? And my response, again, having a good time with it is, let's not worry about next year. Let's just talk about it tomorrow. Let's just finish tomorrow. Right? And then when tomorrow comes, we'll talk about tomorrow. Next year will take care of itself. But the beauty of that is, that's no different than going to a Q course. So the Q course is the qualification course to be in special operations. For us, that was a week-long episode of very little sleep and different evolutions after each other, right? Everyone that was thinking Monday everyone on Monday that was thinking about Friday quit. Because it's too much. You can't, there's no way you can quantify, we're about to do 20,000 push-ups, another 20,000 sit-ups, another 20,000 pull-ups in the next 5 days. There's no way for the mind to quantify that.
Man, Tuesday in our staff meeting, I told him, when I start to think too far in the future, I lose control.
That's right.
It creates anxiety.
Yes.
And that just doesn't work for me.
Yes. So is that a man thing or what? Because the reason why I ask that is, oftentimes when I'm operating in that, you have other, I wouldn't say a man thing, I think it's a leader thing. You have other people that want to talk about Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, this, that, and the other. You're like, no, I'm hyper-focused on what's in front of me. And then once I quantify this, then I go to the next. I recognize we have to build a schedule out. But the acronym WIN, what's important next, WIN is what I operate on, is I'm going to execute what's in front of me at a high level and then go to the next thing.
Because it goes back to what you said earlier around the foundation. If you don't get the foundation, it doesn't matter what you build on it.
Correct.
It's not going to stand.
Correct.
First storm come through, it's going to be over.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
You can overreach.
Yeah,
You
man.
overreach.
And we can only reach so far, like you said, and if I'm reaching too far, I may not be able to grab what I need to grab the way I need to grab it, and I might miss out.
Right.
And like you said, that, and like you said that the other day, it was like when I start looking over there, now that's just something I don't even know. I got nothing to do out there. All of that's, like you said the other day, it was like, okay, now there's uncertainty, because now I'm going on speculation.
I think now that you said that, I would equate it to baseball, right? Or kickball or anything or catching a football. You have to watch the ball touch your hand. You got to watch the ball make connection with the bat. If you swinging the bat and you looking at where you want to go,
It's done.
you miss connectivity because you're not focused on this, right? And I think oftentimes people are distracted by the future,
Yeah.
right? We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this.
My I always tell people, like my son, he's 32 now, and when he was little, I was Uncle Daddy, and so I'll never forget. I would tell my wife, she's my wife now, but when we first, so she would say, I say, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and I was looking at, I'm buying my car and a plane, and I'm way out here somewhere, and then even for his birthday, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this, we gonna do that, and I'm gonna fly him out here, and I'm gonna do this and do that, and she was like, Lee, he don't need to do all that. He just needs you to make a phone call today.
Today.
That was it. She was like, just make a phone call today. Just call him. I was like, but no, I want to. Lee, just call him today. That's it. Just do that thing like you said. What's next? Let me call them today. Because when you start doing that, going too far away, it's out of reach sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like how you said that. Like, what's next? What is next? There's a thing on Crucial Conversations. They're gonna, and it's they say getting things done. And the first thing they say is like brainstorm, get all the stuff out for about 5 minutes. And then the next video said, what's the next step? Not what's the 34th step.
Correct.
And I think, like you said, as sometimes as fathers, and even with our children and everything else, we're already got them in college, married, grandkids, and everything else. When, like you said, if we could just concentrate on what's going on here right now, because
That's what they're going to remember.
Yeah.
And again, biblically, what? Give us this day our daily bread, right? We got to eat today first, and then again, I think y'all make an amazing point of, if you allow others to take you off of watching the ball make contact with the bat, they then become distractions. right? Because you're thinking about this, and this, and you're not executing this well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how can I trust you with more if I can't trust you with this?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I think that'll preach.
Well, you the man to do it.
Yeah.
Definitely. Now, so what brought you to composing, to writing this book?
Oh man. So I never meant to publish the book. By the way, I've done the second episode revision of the book, and I'm about to publish that in probably about 4 to 5 months. But I was going through divorce. My concern was not being able to give my children everything that I wanted them to have. So I wrote the book from the place of, I'm no longer here, I've transitioned. I want my children to be able to find this book and be able to find their father along the way. That's what was my motivation writing the book.
Wow.
Wow. That's primal.
Yeah, man.
That's primal.
Yeah, man.
You know, one of the conversations I had with my son, because he was the only child that we could have, was around the fact that if something happened to your mom and I, you may be by yourself. And if something happened to me, you're not going to have this whole group of people that you can lean on. So I got to raise you a bit quicker than what you might be willing to grow up. So when I talk to you at 7, I'm going to talk to you like you're 9 or 10. When you're 10, I'm going to talk to you like you're 13 or 14, and so forth. And he said, well, why are you going to do that? I said, because when you get there, it won't be strange to you. You'll be familiar with it. You'll step into that situation, you'll say, this feels familiarly common to me. And with that, a certain peace will come with that, and it will help you in your navigation process. And that's what it sounded like when you were talking about your kids.
Yes, definitely, man. I wanted to leave them a roadmap. And during the process, I began to understand I can create scripture as well. You know what I mean? The parables, scriptures, the references, my life can be that for my children so that they know where they come from and who they are.
See, now you just brought up another component of the workshop that we provide, and it's called what? Legacy. You built a legacy,
Yeah.
right, for your kids. They know the road that's worth traveling because they've seen what?
They seen me.
They've seen you do it,
Yes, sir.
right? They see. Now, they may find their own way, but it's not going to be off. It's going to be in the right direction, right? They're not going to go south. They're going north.
Yes.
That's part of that because north is the point.
And even if they do go a little south, right, it's the prodigal son, right? Because the prodigal son has 3 different stories in it. It has the father.
Yep.
It has the one son that leaves. But the one that stayed back
Oh,
had a jealous heart.
Yeah.
Right?
he
So,
was lost.
so what I've learned and what I'm learning at this stage of fathering, sometimes they got to go bust their head wide open. You know, in the country, we say to the white meat. And my job is to make sure there's a home suitable
Yeah.
for them to come back to, right? Because the standard is the standard,
Yeah.
right? You can come home, but the standard
That's
is the
not going to
standard.
change.
The standard doesn't change.
Yeah.
So if you want your own standard, you need to stay out there in your own home, and that's fine too. The other component is you can't be grown living in someone else's household,
Yeah.
right? So again, you can come home, but you got we got to figure that part out,
Yeah.
Right.
and it's a process, right? And it's not something that's negative.
Right.
If you're not ready, you're not ready. So let's get you ready.
And that's a way of finding out.
Yeah.
Some people have to find out the hard way that I wasn't ready.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the other role of father, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you can be ready and not think you're ready, and father has to say, no, you got to come this way. You got to move a little faster.
Correct.
You know, you got to move in this direction a little bit faster. If they're going too fast, you got to say what?
Slow down a little bit.
Slow down a little bit.
Right. And the blessing of having a good father and a strong father is their name, is your namesake, right? So even when you're not with me, you covered, because there's certain things some people are not going to do because they know who your father is. You know what I mean? And that's some coverage as well.
I like how you said that, because like I said, remember you talked about what drove you, right? It stays with you, right? You know, and what I like about that, right, is that you have that thing with you all the time that motivates you, or like you said, that keeps you where you need to be kept. And then, like you said, for them, right, you know, being able to leave things for them so that they can readily grab it, so they know which way to go, and that they have that with them so they can, like you said, remember, I can get back to, I don't have to go far to get back to who I am. Because sometimes they get so far away that it doesn't matter who they were. And you think about when you were little, I know you had this with like, remember who you are. Remember who you are, like you said, that name. So even like you said, when I'm out here doing certain things, that'll pop and jar me, right? Wait a minute, I gotta remember who I am.
And I know true north.
Yeah, I know true north.
I
That's
know
right.
true north.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter where I am.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong place,
yeah.
That's right.
but I know true north.
I like how you said, you know, I love reading and stuff like that, and a lot of, like I was going through the book and things, but like you said, true north, like true north stays there, right? Magnetic north moves. And like you said, to make sure that I understand what true north really is, and you've been to be that father to bond like you need to do, so that if they do get off, and you talked about compasses, I was in the Army, right? So we went out on night land navigation.
And waypoints.
Yes, and so we had our compass, right? And I was with these dudes that was supposed to notice the woods, right? And we kept saying, make sure you line up the line, right? You know, because it was night, we illuminated. We walking, right? And ain't nobody looked at the compass in a while. Man, we got down further, man. That compass was like that. We was like, where are we? We was in Germany. I never forget we was in Germany. And got accosted by a herd of wild boar. We had to just sit there. And I was like, you know what? I ain't never listening to none of y'all. Y'all just looked at the compass. And like you said, you can lose your way. But like you said, understanding my name and giving them something to line up with to keep them straight.
My grandfather told me, and I'm a country boy, real country farm boy. He said, if you pass the same tree twice,
You lost.
you're going in circles.
You know, that'll preach too now. Yeah, trees come in different shapes, forms, and
I'm
fashions.
from New York. And we just make sure we're on the right train.
All right. You know, I think we've gone over our time, and we talked right through our break.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
But Jermaine, this was so rich.
I appreciate it, brother.
Your information is so
Yes.
valuable, and it comes across so authentic. That doesn't matter who you are. If you have a heart to hear a message, then you should receive this message.
I received that, brother.
Appreciate how you delivered that today.
Thank you, brother.
All
I
right.
appreciate you. Yes, sir.
And this from a meek man. And what is the definition of meek? Great strength.
Under control.
Under control.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yes, sir.
Will, give them our methods of communication, how they can contact us.
Okay, followers, you know, you can get us at www.anthemstrongfamilies.org, Facebook, YouTube, everything. We're everywhere. So just go ahead and hit us up. Again, make the comments. Tell us how much you enjoyed, you know, the conversations that we're having and the topics that we're discussing with you. And again, we'll be back next week. So you know what I always tell you, jump in.
Thank you very much. Join us next week.